Now, former vice presidential nominee Sarah Palin is perhaps the most vilified woman in all of politics, and despite the relentless barrage of personal attacks that she faces from the president's friends on the left, Governor Palin is among the many outspoken conservative women who Barack Obama is unwilling to defend. However, as we have seen in recent weeks, things are much different when one of the administration's political allies comes under scrutiny from the right. When that happens, the president is quick to tell the entire world exactly how he feels. Take a look.
You know, the reason I called Ms. Fluke is because I thought about Malia and Sasha, and one of the things I want them to do as they get older is to engage in issues they care about. And I wanted Sandra to know that that I thought her parents should be proud of her.
Now, that's how he treats people who happen to agree with his political views. But when one of his mega donors, like Bill Maher, tees off on conservative women like Sarah Palin or Michelle Bachmann, well, apparently that's fair game. On Tuesday, the president flat out ignored a reporter attempting to ask whether or not Bill Maher's $1 million super PAC donation should be returned. And today, the White House press secretary made this stunning comment when asked about growing calls for the president to give back Bill Maher's money.
We are not and cannot be the arbitrator of every statement that everybody makes in the policy and political arena. As a general matter, obviously language that denigrates women is inappropriate.
Here with reaction to that ridiculous statement from Jay Carney and the left's double standard is somebody who is still waiting for her phone call from President Obama. Joining me now, former Alaska Governor, Fox News contributor Sarah Palin. Governor, welcome back.
Thank you so much, Sean.
Governor, I almost really hate to do this, but I'm going to do it because I think we need to have this discussion. Because the president goes out there, calls for the need for civil public discourse. He has done this again and again. He's never called you. He's taken $1 million from Bill Maher, and I think this issue's come to critical mass. I'm going to play Bill Maher, who donated $1 million to Obama's super PAC, and what he said about you and others.
Sarah Palin finally heard what happened in Japan, and she's demanding that we invade tsunami. I mean, she says these tsunamians will not get away with this. Oh. Speaking of dumb, after the debate where this came up, she had a discussion with a woman who came to her after the debate and said that her daughter had taken the vaccine and become, from the vaccine, mentally retarded. And Michelle Bachmann said, Mom?
Now, if you had a choice, a gun to your head, which one is it? Palin or Bachmann?
I would need a gun to my head. I hope Sarah Palin gets in so that they split the MILF vote.
Governor, he's also used the C word. I want to get your reaction to all of this because this is a really crucial issue, I think, going forward in the campaign.
Well, I don't know why anyone can sit in the audience of a commentator like Bill Maher and chuckle and laugh and think that that's entertaining. I think it's disgusting, and it's dirty money that he has now provided Barack Obama's campaign. And I don't know how Barack Obama can sleep at night if he really thinks about Sasha and Malia and the treatment of some women today, how he can accept that dirty money. And granted, Barack Obama has never been, I think, seen in the conventional, traditional way of we who would describe a man of valor, so it shouldn't surprise us that Barack Obama would accept that dirty money and try to get reelected with it. But I think it does not bode well for our president's character to not speak out against that dirty money. You know, and it's going a little bit deeper than that. David Axelrod is scheduled to be on Bill Maher's program. He went after Mitt Romney, who said that talked about Rush Limbaugh's comments and said it was unfortunate, shouldn't have said it. Rush apologized for his comments. Have you ever gotten an apology from Bill Maher? No, and I do not ever want to speak to Bill Maher. I would not demean myself or other women by engaging in a conversation with such a petty and small-minded man like Bill Maher. Sean, you had also mentioned in your intro that I have not received any call from the office of the presidency, and please know that I neither desire nor do I deserve a call from the office of the presidency, and I wish that our president would save his phone calls for those who truly are deserving, like Gold Star moms and others who will forever live with the memory of losing a loved one who would be fighting in a war zone in order to protect our freedoms, our freedom of press, our freedom of speech. Those who are most deserving should receive those phone calls from the office of the presidency.
I think that's very gracious of you, and I would agree. I think the president jumping into the issue of political speech is interesting because he's done this now a couple of times. And on the other hand, he's been out campaigning, saying Republicans, their plan is for dirty air and dirty water. Republicans want kids with autism and Down syndrome and the elderly to fend for himself. You know, as we listen on the one hand, that he talks about civility and discourse and jumps into the Rush Limbaugh controversy, but takes $1 million from Bill Maher, lectures on the one hand, his surrogates attack on the other hand, he attacks on the other hand. What are we to make of what this says about the president?
Our president is one who is trying to divide our country. He is not in this to unify America and to solidify our place as the exceptional nation in the world. He is trying to divide us based along lines of gender, of religion, of income, even of race. Look at his embracing of Derek Bell, the radical college racist professor whom you showed in a video last night, embraced literally and figuratively, asking others to open their hearts and minds to the radical agenda of a racist like Derek Bell, who believed that white men oppress blacks and minorities. And Barack Obama, evidently, at least at the time, believed what Derek Bell believed.
I'm going to ask you in the next segment about that because we don't have enough time in the segment. I'm going to bring up some of the Breitbart tapes from last night and get your comments on it. But in the short time we have in this segment, I want to get your take on the results of Super Tuesday and what you think it means for the Republican Party. Mitt Romney won 6 of these states. You said that you had voted for Speaker Gingrich in Alaska. Where do you think it stands right now? Do you think this goes a lot further? Do you think that Mitt Romney's inevitable?
I don't think that anything is inevitable. The numbers are what the numbers are, though, and Romney certainly is leading in delegate count. But no, nothing is inevitable, and I do appreciate that these men are continuing to duke it out in the arena of ideas and are allowing themselves to be vetted, because look at the tragedy that is happening in America today, with us becoming less and less solvent, more and more beholden and shackled to foreign countries, and less energy independent, less secure, because our sitting president was not vetted. So thank you, gentlemen who are running on the GOP ticket, staying in there, allowing yourselves to be vetted by the media, because they didn't do it when Barack Obama ran. All
right, we're going to pick that up when we get back. I'm going to show you some of the Breitbart tapes that we showed on the program last night. We're going to talk about the Obama Project, and that's about vetting President Barack Obama. We'll also talk about, do you think it was properly done in 2008? We'll have more with former Governor Sarah Palin right after the break, and then the NYPD. And we continue on Hannity with former Alaska Governor, Fox News contributor, Governor Sarah Palin. All right, Governor, let me show you from last night. These are what we call the Breitbart tapes, the very tapes that Andrew Breitbart talked about at CPAC. And he used the term, it's time to vet this president. And he showed a tape of the president with a controversial professor you mentioned in the last segment, Derek Bell, introduces him, open your hearts and mind to Professor Derek Bell, and then afterwards he hugs him. Let's roll the tape.
Open up your hearts and your minds to the words of Professor Derek Bell.
All right, what does this tell you based on what we have now learned about Professor Bell in the last couple of days, his controversial views? Even Professor Gates questioned him on his issue of not recognizing anti-Semitism. What does it tell you about this bigger picture of President Obama and his, really, the only way I describe it is his radical associates?
What this tells us is that it is a tragedy that the media did not do its job in vetting Barack Obama in 2008. And here, this is belated vetting of Barack Obama, but it must be done. People must be aware of his radical past, his radical associations even today. Look at who he's chosen to be his czars. He has chosen the most radical of the radicals in certain areas of expertise, Sean. That is who is running this country today. And it is no wonder that people are starting to feel less and less certain about the future of America, the future of our economy, the future of any opportunity that we have to be energy independent, the future of the sovereignty of the United States of America based on who it is that Barack Obama surrounds himself with today. He has chosen these people because what went into his thinking through those college years, through years probably before his college years and his profession as a community organizer, what went into his thinking was this philosophy of radicalism based on the people whom he chose to be around. He has chosen now to help lead this country more of these radicals.
You know, we knew about in 2008, and I first interviewed Reverend Wright on Hannity and Combs in March of 2007. And then we went into what black liberation theology is, what he writes about in his book. We have the tape. White folks' greed runs a world in need. He says that on tape. I did a little blow. He says that in his book. All of these things. But he hung out 20 years with Wright. Ayers, Dorn, Flager, Acorn, Alinsky, community organizing. Now we have another sort of bit of information about what has, I guess, created the foundation of what Barack Obama believes. Now that he's governed for over 3 years, what do you glean from this? What do you take from this about the president, who he was and who he is, and what we would have in the future if he was reelected?
Right. Well, what we can glean from this is an understanding of why we are on the road that we are on. Again, it's based on what went into his thinking, being surrounded by radicals. He is bringing us back, Sean, to days that you can harken back to days before the Civil War, when, unfortunately, too many Americans mistakenly believed that not all men were created equal. And it was the Civil War that began the codification of the truth that here in America, yes, we are equal and we all have equal opportunities, not based on the color of your skin. You have equal opportunity to work hard and to succeed and to embrace the opportunities, God-given opportunities to develop resources and work extremely hard and, as I say, to succeed. Now, it has taken all these years for many Americans to understand that gravity, that mistake that took place before the Civil War and why the Civil War had to really start changing America. What Barack Obama seems to want to do is go back to before those days when we were in different classes based on income, based on color of skin. Why are we allowing our country to move backwards instead of moving forward with that understanding that, as our charters of liberty spell out for us, we are all created equally?
You know, this tape where he introduces Professor Bell, it's interesting. In 2011, another professor at Harvard, Professor Ogletree, actually played this tape, and then he says this at the end of it. And I want to play it for you, and I got a question out of it.
Now, what makes this so interesting when you think about it, of course, we hid this throughout the 2008 campaign, so no, no, I don't care if they find it now, but right, because it just...
Of course we hid it. And I want you, if you can, Governor, bring us behind the scenes of the 2008 campaign. I mean, I was frankly surprised that the campaign wouldn't bring these issues up about these controversial associations. And many people even warning me not to do it, that I was going to hurt my career, et cetera. So you wouldn't believe the things that were said to me by just vetting the president or then candidate Obama. What was it like for you behind the scenes? Are these things, we keep hearing reports, you wanted to bring these things up. Is that true?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And Sean, you, Rush Limbaugh, Mark Levin, Laura Ingraham, there were a select few of you out there trying to bring to light what it was that Barack Obama stood for and what his radical associations and even his voting record as a senator in Chicago, what it represented. And yet the rest of the media, it seemed like, to too great a degree, didn't want to go there with you guys. So maybe you felt like you were, you know, the lone voice calling out in the wilderness for America to wake up. But in the campaign itself, you'll have to ask people like Steve Schmidt, who I think shackled us as candidates, both John McCain and myself, and not allowing us to get out there and to start talking more about the truth about what Barack Obama, what he meant even when he promised radically to fundamentally transform America, what in the world he had in mind. Now we see what he had in mind for us, but it was unfortunate that we weren't able to speak more about that.
What do you think Professor Ogletree is saying? Oh, of course we hid these. What does that mean? Does the president know that they were hiding these tapes? And, you know, because the left went crazy today because we aired them last night. It's on Breitbart.com right now. What, if they had to hide them, what were they hiding?
Yeah, don't you wonder if Barack Obama as a candidate there was just, you know, crossing his fingers, hoping that some of this stuff wouldn't come out. And he probably is still doing that today. Well, and he probably is doing the same thing today, hoping that more doesn't come out about his background and about what went into his thinking, about why it was that he would believe that some socialist ideas that have failed in the old world, and that is why you see failures in some of these European countries, why he could apply those principles and policies to America, and that somehow we would succeed, even though history tells us that you will fail under some of the regime that it seems like Barack Obama wants to emulate.
Governor, thanks as always for being with us. Appreciate it.